continue to roll on. Earlier today, we got to hear from Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark. A lot of questions about where we stand with the college football playoff format. Here's where he thinks we should go.
Speaking of the CFP, we continue to believe the 5-11 model proposed by the Big 12 and the ACC is the right playoff format for college football. We want to earn it on the field. We do not need a professional model because we are not the NFL.
They want to earn it, gentlemen. Up on set, Greg Brock, what say you about this 5-11 model proposed by Brett Yormark and Jim Phillips?
I think what's interesting about it is you would think from the Big 12's perspective, having the 2 automatic qualifiers in the assumed 16-team format would be really beneficial. You would think, all right, we at least have 2, maybe in some unique cases, we get a 3rd team by way of the at-large. But I appreciate very much that he believes so strongly in the depth and the quality of the teams in this league that he believes that they actually would be better suited by going with a 5+11. I expected him to kind of be on the other side of the equation. I wasn't sure where he fell, but I thought that tells a lot about how strongly he believes in the teams in this league.
Brock, and I'll take it one step further. He talked about at the beginning of the press conference, then the quote that at the end he goes, again, I'm doubling down on 5-11.
Yeah. You know, I think the biggest thing that he said is we want to earn it on the field. And to your point, Greg, you would think, yeah, hey, we want 2 automatic qualifiers regardless of record or how the conference is year in and year out. But I think that says a lot about how Commissioner Yormark feels about his conference in the Big 12 and how strong it is. And I just have to say I completely agree with him that you need to earn it on the field. And the idea of automatic qualifiers, it kind of takes away the competition that is supposed to take place on the football field.
Now, here's what I would say that's dangerous with Brett Yormark in the position that he's in, talking about where his conference is. We've talked about it now for, what, an hour and a half? About how deep this league is. Well, what happens in a deep conference? You get a lot of
each other up.
You beat each other
Knock
up.
each other out.
And it could be damn good football, but you could also have a bunch of teams that are 9-3, 10-2, 8-4, and because the committee sometimes looks at records, it's going to sound funny, probably a little bit more than they should. It could damage a league that I believe, top to bottom, when we cover college football as much as anybody, probably has the most competitive balance of anyone in the country.
No, I don't think anyone's pushing back on that. I mean, it's by far, from Team 1 to Team 16, it's by far the tightest group, no doubt about it. I do think, though, it speaks to the possible potential of some of the programs in this league, too, though. I think if you look at what Texas Tech has done from a commitment level, from a resource standpoint, he probably looks at them and says, all right, well, they can go with anybody, financially speaking, and that matters nowadays. You look at what TCU has done in the past. You look at the size of Arizona State and the possible starring head coach Kenny Dillingham not going anywhere, and a handful of other programs. BYU's won national championships. Utah, I think, had a real strong argument to say that they were the best team in the country in 2004, maybe in 2008 as well. There have been teams in this league. Cincinnati's made a playoff appearance. UCF has won a national championship, if you want to count it that one strange year in 2017. There are teams in this league that have reached the highest point in college football, and while they haven't done it consistently in recent years, the potential is there. I think he recognizes that. So seeing the future of college football in a 5-11 model is, I think, very intriguing.
Well, and that's the big question. Who in the Big 12 can consistently be on top? You think about Oklahoma back in the day. You think about Texas. They were always there. It was kind of 1-2 at the top, and then who was going to fight with them. So we all talk about, all right, well, right now, the Big 12, they're beating up on one another. But the commissioner said it earlier. Eventually, someone's going to emerge, and we're going to have those top 2 to 3 teams every single year. So you mentioned that's what you just have to assume his vision. There are going to be 2, 3, 4 teams consistently competing to get into the playoff every year.
And I would say, look at the coaches we've talked to already. Matt Campbell, that's not an easy out in Iowa State. Chris Kleiman in Kansas State, they come back loaded. Texas Tech and Joey McGuire, there isn't an easy out in this conference. We went to a school that's been called a sleeping giant for 25 years. They get good, they go bad, they get... So if this league, to your point, if everyone plays to that potential, which we think all of them can, this league throughout the year, you're not like, if you're Nebraska, prime example, if you're Nebraska, you want to suit it up against them week 1? I mean, do you want... You don't, because that's where the Big 12 is going to be able to assert themselves, is if in those interconference games, can they show the committee Can they show the country that they belong with these other leagues because there's a quote-unquote any star-powered team in the conference?
Yeah, I think as far as just your traditional brands are concerned, they're operating right now at third place. You can make a case for fourth. I don't know. As far as your traditional brand power,
Right.
But that doesn't matter nowadays. Right now, it's an arms race. And I think that the teams and the buy-in and the resources and the fact that I think there is upward mobility in the league has a lot of people feeling really intrigued and really optimistic about the future of this league in general. And I like to, with Brett Yormark, he spoke specifically about becoming a contemporary league.
Yeah.
He understands the dynamics of the current student athlete, what appeals to the constant student athlete. He comes from an entertainment background. He
Right.
knows what sells, and he will move game times and move game days and do what's necessary to make sure that the league is always in a prominent spotlight. That's why I think he is the ideal leader for this conference that I think has tremendous upside, and also because of the quality across the board has very little downside.
I will never forget this. It was a few years ago now when the announcement that Texas and Oklahoma were departing the Big 12, and everybody basically just put the Big 12 underground and said that conference is dead. It's going to split apart. Pac-12, this, that, and the other. Now look where it is. And Brett Yormark, if any of the commissioners, and all of them do fantastic work for their conferences, you're right. You pitch him an idea that's good for the league, we're in because we're going to grow. Speaking of growing, you're not going to find a better conference in the country that has grown more star quarterbacks. It is the year of the quarterback. And speaking of quarterbacks, got a couple on set. I got South Lake Carroll Dragon up here. He knows what it's like to play quarterback in this great state of Texas. We're going to talk Big 12 QBs when we return.